rise, innovate, and create lasting impact. And today I have Mas Lazaros. He is the CEO of Next Level University, a top 100 podcast host, and of course, having a 2,300 episodes and plus 180 countries, 1 million listeners, and a seven-figure business. None other than Mr. Alan Lazaros. Welcome, Mr. Alan on Entrepreneurship 101. And can you please introduce more about yourself so that
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name is Alan Lazaros. I'm the CEO and founder of Next Level University. It's both a business and a podcast. We have, as you mentioned, 2,300 plus episodes. I think it's 2,350 now. But we are 1% improvement, success, and personal development in your pocket from anywhere on the planet every single day, completely free. And it's the philosophy we live by, which is getting a little bit better every single day in terms of health, wealth, and love. I'm primarily a business coach at this point. I call it my magic number. It's written on my whiteboard over here, 6,871 coaching sessions with people all over the world. At this point, I have 26 one-on-one clients that I'm working with right now, but it's been hundreds over the years. I've been coaching for 11 years. And so, yeah, I've gained a lot of insights, and I now understand at a pretty deep level what determines whether or not someone is successful or not, especially from the inside out, not just the outside in. There's a lot of people that are successful externally, but they're not really fulfilled internally. So how do you be successful and fulfilled is kind of my focus.
yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Alan. So today, how let's talk about how to build the most profitable and impactful business. At age 26, you had a near fatal car accident, early similar to the one that took your father at the age of 28. You said this moment made you realize you were successful but unfulfilled. What did success look like for you at 26, and what's actually missing beneath the surface?
So I did the traditional path. I did the preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, corporate. And I did that, and I did that very well. In high school, I got straight A's. I 16 report cards straight. I got a 95 or above GPA. And I got what's called the President's Award, which is signed by George W. Bush behind me. And it basically means I get scholarships and financial aid. And I was able to go to one of the best engineering schools in the world. It's called WPI. It's like a mini MIT in Massachusetts. It's a great engineering college. And when I went into corporate, I did very well. 21st century, computer engineering with a master's in business, worked for a bunch of different tech companies. And then I got in that car accident that you mentioned. But back then, to your point, I was very successful in corporate, but I wasn't super fulfilled. I had high school friends and college friends and corporate friends, and I brought my high school friends to college, my college friends to corporate, and I had a thriving social life, and I definitely made a lot of money, but it wasn't meaningful work for me. And so I got in a car accident at 26 that you mentioned. My birth father died in 1991 in a car when he was 28, when I was almost 3. And so this was sort of the second chance my dad never got when I was 26. My fault. Head on collision. And after that, I started a little company called Alan Lazaros LLC, what you'll never learn in school but desperately need to know. And that was 11 years ago. And I'm still on that similar mission, which is why didn't we learn about personal development, personal growth, self improvement, productivity, goals, habits, mindset? Why didn't we learn about this stuff in school? And so now I have podcasts with my partner, the Conscious Couples podcast. I have Next Level University. I have a 23-person team, 26 one-on-one clients. We produce 86 podcasts now, my production company. And we're growing, and we have a thriving community globally now. But ultimately, it's that same through line, which is what you'll never learn in school, but desperately need to know. And so that's why I'm here. So how do you build an impactful business? It has to be at that center point of meaningful work for you, because if it's not meaningful work for you, you are not going to thrive, at least not long term.
Very well said, Mr. Allen. The name Next Level. You choose a name that implies a constant forward motion. Was
Mhm.
this the reflection of who you already were or who you needed to become? How do you help clients distinguish between healthy growth and kind of striving that never lets them rest?
Yeah. So I was always an achiever. I always have been. I always will be. I think some people are achievers and they have it in their blood. They have it in their DNA. They have it in their upbringing, nature versus nurture. I don't know. But I do know that some people are always striving. Now, there's the are you always striving and never arriving conundrum. Do
Mm.
you focus more on the future or more on the present? I think you learn from the past, you build in the present toward a bigger, better, and brighter future. And I do think that if your goals are of the heart and are in alignment with who you really are, I actually think they will be fulfilling to strive for them. I think chasing dreams and living the dream are the same thing. Uh, that's really what I do now. Is some people come to me and they have a business that is successful, but they are not fulfilled because the business is successful, but it's no longer in alignment with the change they wish to see in the world, the deeply meaningful work that they care about. And so they need to learn how to reinvent themselves and then realign the business with who they are now. The other side of the coin is someone who is not successful. They love themselves. They are happy, healthy, productive, but they're not successful. So they know the meaningful work that they want to do in the world. A lot of podcasters, great example of this. They love their podcast. They love what they do. They love the light they're shining in the world. They are the change they wish to see in the world, but they're not successful. So it's either you are successful, but it's not meaningful, so it's not fulfilling, or you're not successful, even though you do love what you do. And so I'm trying really hard to help both of those people. And the way you do that is you align. And here's the problem: what the economy pays for is rarely the most meaningful work. I'll say that again. What the economy pays for is rarely the most meaningful work. Sometimes it is. I always used to say, how much would Michael Jordan get paid to play basketball 200 years ago? The answer is $0. There was no NBA, there was no market for it. There was no market for the game. But in the 90s, right person, right time, right craft, meaningful work for him happened to be very valued. So there's a lot of money in it. And so the economy pays for what it values, and our values as a society and as a globe change over time. There's 195 countries on Earth. There's 8 billion people on Earth, 6 billion almost now online. And there's a way to create a successful, impactful business in alignment with what's meaningful to you. But you have to find out what's meaningful work for you that you're statistically great at, that the economy actually pays for.
You have a background in computer engineering and MBA, a blend of technical precision and business strategy. How does the dual lens shape the way you approach building a business? How do engineers understand about business that pure creatives might miss, and vice versa?
Yeah. So, art and science. Leonardo da Vinci used to say, study the art of science and the science of art. Um, I think every great business has a creative with an engineer, at least to some degree. One person is more conscientious, more math, more logic, more rationality. That's me in my company. And one person's more creative, and that's Kev, my business partner. Steve Jobs and Wozniak. You got Bill Gates and Paul Allen. Um, Oprah's more of a creative, so she's probably got a numbers person in her corner. And there's a lot of examples of this. And so, what engineers understand that creatives don't is the numbers and the mathematic modalities of thinking. So, if you understand chaos theory and constraint theory and game theory, and you understand probability and how to think in statistics, you can make more effective decisions. That's why a lot of people, are relying a lot on AI right now. And if
Mm.
you can't, uh, art is about people. Creatives are about people and emotions. Science is about objective truth and rational decision making, and they rarely end up in the same person. Not always. We all lean one way or another. We're all righty or lefty, and we need to make sure that we partner with someone who is the yin to our yang, so to speak, at least in business, So I say this for my business. Kevin and I, we have similar aspirations and similar core values, but very different complementary skill sets. The way that I think is very long term strategic engineering, his is very short term and feeling. And you really do need both. You need what's called productive paranoia and pessimism in the short term, and you also need long term optimism. And it's very hard to have all of that in one person. So the engineers understand math and science to a pretty hefty degree that is necessary to build real things in the real world. And the creatives understand human beings and influence and leadership and people and emotion and human emotion. It's not the best product that wins, it's the best marketing and branding that wins. However, you need to have a pretty good product too. So engineers need to get with creatives, and the engineering of the iPhone is really sound, but it also is beautiful aesthetically and creatively. And so that's why it's one of the most successful products in the world, because you can't have just utility and you can't have just emotion. You need both.
As latest Steve just said, think differently. So you've identified branding, marketing, sales, client delivery, and community as the five pillars of business growth. If a founder, or yes, if a founder is struggling financially, which of these five is usually the culprit, and which is one is they think is the problem?
Yeah, so the culprit is usually bad client delivery. Um, it's one of two. Some people, I call them an empty bag of chips. You buy a bag of chips and it looks really beautiful. It's well packaged. You open it up, it's only a third full. So you're basically over promising. You have great branding and marketing, but it's an empty bag of chips. Those people, it's client delivery. They're so good at looking good rather than being good. And then there's other people that are the opposite, that are really good at client delivery, and it's called self-imposed servitude to thankless people. In other words, they're always serving, but they aren't able to brand and market themselves as a premium product, and they don't really know how to grow and scale. And so I know some people that are really good at what they do, but they don't know how to market themselves. They don't know how to make themselves look good. And then I know some people who are really good at making themselves look good, but they can't get referrals and momentum because they're an empty bag of chips. And so I always say this: we all have to live in two worlds. We have to live in the social world and we have to live in the real world. The social world is the wedding photos, the real world is the marriage. The social world is the Instagram profile, the real world is how you feel about yourself when you wake up. The social world is your airbrushed photos in the gym. The real world is you lifting actual weight in real life. We all have to live in both. I need a social media too. Everybody has to. The economy is built on the social world, what people think of you rather than what you really are, right? But who you are and what you are needs to matter most when no one's watching. And I just say the syntax has to be right. The syntax has to be real person, real world, real product, real service first. And then the branding and marketing needs to be really good. Versus if the branding and marketing is really good, but you're not really, it's just a bag of air, I think that you're in trouble, at least long term, and you're going to end up eventually going bankrupt. And unfortunately, I think the people that are the best at that, looking good rather than getting better, they tend to be very low integrity.
Interesting, Mr. Allen. You teach Jim Collins a flywheel concept, doing five things really well over and over rather than chasing 10,000 new ideas. Why is it discipline of repetition is much harder for entrepreneurs than dopamine heat of a novelty?
Yeah. So 21st century is noisy. It's coming at you all the time. It's tapping into the weaker parts of your nature. It's trying to get you immediate gratification. And I'm old school. I'm 37 years old, and I don't think anything works unless you work. So I say this, I say business is not doing 10,000 things well. Business is doing five things 10,000 times. And the five things are branding, marketing, sales, client delivery, and community. So we have a podcast called Next Level University. We have 2,350 episodes. we do that really well and we focus on it and we've never missed. We started with one episode, then it was two, then it was two, then it was three, then it was three, then it was four. Eventually it was once every day, 7 days a week. And we haven't stopped since. So instead of trying to drill a bunch of shallow holes, we are trying really hard to do our thing really well. So I always say Tesla should not sell energy drinks and Red Bull should not sell cars. I always say the iPhone, AirPods, iPod, iPad, iMac, it all, imagine if Apple sold, I don't know, Apple randomly started selling car washes. Everyone would be like, what? It tarnishes the brand. Apple's a technology company that's supposed to put technology in the hands of creatives to help them achieve their dreams. It's not congruent with the brand. So if you're everything for everyone, you're nothing for no one. And NLU, you have to really find yourself and plant your flag. And it has to be aligned with who you really are. Otherwise, you won't be fulfilled. And if you're not fulfilled, you can't sustain it. But ultimately, the 10,000 things, the distractions, success is not saying yes to things. I think success is saying no to the good things to go for the great things. And the older and older I get, like 11 years in, most of the reason I'm not more successful, I feel very successful, I'm very grateful, but in hindsight, I just wasted so much time and effort on persons, places, things, and ideas that weren't aligned. So every year I review my life and I watch the movie of my own life. And every single time I realized that, okay, yeah, I was wasting a lot of time and effort and money on persons, places, things, and ideas that weren't aligned anyway. So I think you get more and more discerning as you mature. And I think toddlers run around and they aren't discerning at all. They don't know who they are or what they are yet, and they just kind of learning. And that's okay. But what you do at 10 needs to be different than at 20, needs to be different than at 30, needs to be different than at 40. And as you mature and grow, you're supposed to be more discerning.
Very well said, Mr. Allen. I think you need an applause for that. Very empowering indeed. You emphasize that founders must stay in their zone of genius and delegate anything else. Otherwise, they become a bottleneck. What's your process for helping someone discover their actual genius?
Yeah, that's a tough one. So I call it your primary skill. So I call it Allen's snowball of success, but this just happens to be mine, but this principle applies to everyone. Number one, coach more. Number two, earn more. Number three, delegate more. So I have a 23-person team. So my most important primary skill that is also the most profitable is one-on-one coaching. And then there's a bunch of sub skills under that: effective communication, reverse engineering goals and dreams, math modalities of thinking, all these things, metrics, habits, skills, identity. But the idea is these 3 steps: coach more, earn more, delegate more. Coach more, earn more, delegate more. Coach more, earn more, delegate more. And the more I coach, the more I earn. And the more I earn, the more I can delegate everything that isn't coaching, which then gives me more time and effort to double down and triple down and quadruple down on coaching. So the key, though, to answer your original question is you have to figure out what that is for you. You have to figure out what your primary skill is that the world needs, that you love. You have to figure out the vehicle to deploy it. So right now, Kevin and I, we often joke. He is a podcaster who tolerates coaching. I'm a coach who tolerates podcasting. And I don't mean that negatively. Podcasting is one to scale. It's a lot. You're talking to a lot of people. So it's more breadth than it is depth. It's a wide net to a larger audience. One-on-one coaching is a narrow net to one person. So I like to go deep and to customize. So I like one-on-one coaching much more than I like podcasting. I like them all. So for me, it's podcasting, coaching, training. So coaching is one-to-one, training is one to several, and then podcasting is one to scale. But on a podcast, I'm not getting a ton of feedback because we're talking to an audience that we can't see. Whereas with my trainings, my master classes that I do every month, I get to see the people on Zoom. They're totally private, on Zoom, not recorded. And book club, same deal every week. And so that's one to several people. So it's one to scale on a podcast, which leads to one to several trainings, book club, that kind of thing, master classes. And then one to one is one-on-one business coaching. I like one-on-one business coaching most. It's the most deep to one custom individual. Kevin likes one to scale most. He likes to cast a wide net. So podcasting is more inspiration and motivation and less education and action. And then training is in the middle. And then coaching is mostly education and action. There's very little fluff. There's very little inspiration and motivation. Like my coaching sessions are much more intense and much more direct than a podcast, just because you're talking to a very specific person and they're paying for results. So it's almost like the necessity is just higher. It's like going into the army versus SEAL Team 6. It's much more intense. There's much more skin in the game. Every minute matters. Whereas a podcast is usually, very inspiring and motivating, a little bit of education. Obviously, this one is. But for the most part, the real work is done behind the scenes. Yeah.
You emphasize holistic self improvement, health, wealth, love, purpose, rather than just a business success. Why is that integration so rare in the business coaching? What's the cost of building a business while neglecting the rest of your life?
So early on, I had a lot of mentors and coaches. Like more in hindsight than I probably should have, honestly. I think everyone's on one end or the other. You either have too few or too many. Kevin had too few, I had too many, so we balanced each other out. But a lot of them were wealthy, very wealthy, actually, and not healthy. And then a lot of them were wealthy and maybe healthy, but not in love. And so the majority of them that were the most wealthy were actually divorced and unhealthy. And I just didn't want that. I To me it makes no sense to want to live in a beautiful home but not a magnificent body. I would not trade this body for any mansion. And that doesn't mean you can't have a mansion too. But at the end of the day, you have to live in this body. So you got to take really good care of it. So it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual for health. Wealth is how you earn your money. Does it fulfill you? You know, uh, how much do you earn? Is it increasing or decreasing based on where the future is going? And then where do you invest it? Not spend it, but invest it. And then the third one is love, which is your intimate relationship, your immediate family, your extended family, your team, your clients, colleagues, mentors, mentees, all of that. And so I saw mentors and coaches rather, that they were really good at their thing. I get it. They were really wealthy, very successful people. But when I really looked behind the scenes at their life, I was like, nope, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested in that. To me, if you're going to be healthy, wealthy, and in love, it's an infinite game. It's technically 3 infinite games. And there's no end game. There's no, oh, I'm done now. Oh, I'm healthy enough. I'm wealthy enough. I'm in love enough. It's a mountain that gets higher as you climb it. And so to me, I ask people all over the world in speeches I do virtually. I say, who here wants to be healthier, wealthier, and more in love? And every hand goes up. I say, okay, who here wants to master fitness every day, master finance every day, and master humility, courage, and vulnerability with their intimate partner every day? And a lot of hands go down. So these things we want, health, wealth, and love, are actually a byproduct of deeper mastery that kind of sucks. And if you're not willing to master fitness and master finance and master intimate relationships, you're not going to be healthy, wealthy, and in love. And if you're top 1% in health, wealth, and love, the math works out to 1 over 100 times 1 over 100 times 1 over 100, which is 1 over 100 to the third power, which is 1 in a million. So you got to set yourself up to be 1 in a million. And that's really hard. So you can't expect it to be easy. It's not a life that's for everybody. But if you do decide to be healthy, wealthy, and in love, you got to get to work. You got to stay focused because it's like 3 full-time jobs.
Certainly. So, Mr. Alan, are you planning to publish a book sooner or later
Yes,
regarding this topic?
absolutely.
Well, looking forward for that, Mr. Alan, and 100% I will support you. You've said your goal is to build the most impactful self improvement company. What does impactful actually mean to you? Is it number of lives touched or depth of transformation something else entirely?
Both. It's breadth and depth. So breadth is how many people can you impact? Depth is how deeply do you touch their life. So an example for large breadth but low depth would be like an Eminem song. Most people in the world know Eminem, Marshall Mathers, and he touches their life in a very small way. Whereas my coaching, I have 26 clients, which is a very small number of people, but I touch their life in a very big way. And so I think breadth and depth is when you capture a lot of people and help a lot of people in a really deep way. And so my job is what impactful means is an X and Y axis of breadth and depth. And I'm trying to maximize the area under the curve. There's something called an integral in calculus. And the area under the curve is the impact that you can have. And so the impact that you have on the world, be the change you wish to see in the world, is predicated on how many people you can help and how deeply you can help them. And that to me is what it means to have the most successful and positively impactful personal development company in history. And that's really what we're trying to do is how many people can we impact? We produce 86 podcasts now. I thought we'd bring personal development, self-improvement, and personal growth to the masses. That was the original goal. I now realize we're leading leaders, and through those 86 podcasts that we produce, we're bringing mental health and personal growth and self-improvement and personal development to the world. So it's become really quite a thing. And so, yeah, I'm coaching 26 individuals, but those leaders are leaders that lead leaders that lead leaders. So 1,000 people touch 1,000 people touch 1,000 people, you're at 1 billion people. So it's amazing what you can do when you change the way you think about impact.
You emphasize that you become what you repeatedly do. That habits are votes for a person you're becoming. What's one habit you're currently voting for in your own life, and what person is slowly creating?
Habit tracking. So it's a meta habit. Every client, every team member has something called peak performance tracking, something I created. 11 years ago, I used to carry these little black notebooks. They're over in the corner of my office around with me. And I used to check off my habits with a mechanical pencil every day. And then I would erase them. And I call it a system of success, peak performance tracking. And now we do that with people all over the world. I track habits every day. Every client tracks habits every day. Metrics, it's dreams, goals, metrics, habits, skills, priorities, identity, and that kind of thing. And everything rolls up. So habit tracking is my answer. The only way to stay on track is to track, and it can be something as simple as starting with 3 habits. Weigh yourself every day, exercise every day, and get to bed by 10 p.m. You can start small. You start really small, and then it builds. I mean, I think I'm probably up to at least 15 habits, maybe 12 metrics every single day. So it expands. I have one person I was coaching since July 17th of 2024. His name's Andrew. He started out with just 6 habits, and now his tracker has, it's a whole thing. It's really something. So he's dialed in, and his future is very bright if he sticks with it.
So, Mr. Allen, to wrap up our discussion for today, if you could sit down with the 26-year-old Allen, fresh out from the car accident, full of regret, just starting to ask the big question, and give him one piece of advice about building a profitable, impactful business, what would you say?
I would say, Alan, the hardest part of this journey for you is losing the people you love. You've lost a lot of the people you love. Not only did you lose your dad when you were 2, but you have outgrown a lot of people. Your goals are going to force you to embark on an epic journey that does leave other people behind. People who don't have goals as large as yours cannot come with you, and that needs to be okay. Sail away, choose your dreams and your goals, and you will be able to achieve them, and that will actually be what's best for the world, even though in the moment your friends and family might not understand.
Mr. Alan Lazaros, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is great. Anyone who's out there, if you have high humility, high work ethic, and a high improvement orientation, meaning you know you don't know, what you don't know is limitless, what you do know is limited. Nothing works unless you do, work ethic, and you are willing to look in the mirror and improve yourself, and you want to get better more than you want to look better. If you want to look good more than you want to get better, you're not going to work well with me. nextleveluniverse.com, Next Level University podcast. You can Google my name, Kevin, my business partner. We're on Instagram and Facebook. If you DM me on Instagram, that will actually be me. If you have high humility, high work ethic, and a high self-improvement orientation, I will be happy to help you grow and scale your business online, because there's a big market out there. There's a lot of opportunity, but it's going to pass you by if you're not willing to work.
Yeah, do it now, people. Stop procrastinating. So, Mr. Allen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Maricon people, see you soon.